In this video, we're going to discuss how we can reformat this part of this syllabus in a way that will enable both visually abled individuals and then visually disabled people who rely on a screen reader to read it. And there's two different approaches. We can simply restructure this information and then this information as text, which means you have to write things out a little bit. And then also the other strategy would be to use a table to accomplish this. So we're going to start off with, in this video, focusing on using a table. And when we look at this cluster of information, it's actually two pieces of information. There is this cluster here, which is course requirements, and then this is the grading scheme, right? So we actually need to divide these into two different categories. So we're going to focus on creating a table for this. And we could call this, well, we'll call it course requirements. All right. And we're going to make a table below here. So I'm going to click here and go to the next line. And there we go. And we want to think about a couple of things. Because we're thinking about issues of accessibility and tables. So you're going to need a header for each column. This is a column, and this will be a column. This column describes the activity, so I'll call it activities, and this will be a percentage of grade. And then so that's going to be an additional row. So we need two columns, and we need 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, plus the headers. So that's 7 rows. So 2 by 7. So we're in Word right now, and we're going to create insert a table right down here. So I'm going to go up to Insert, Table, and it gives me this drop-down menu where I can draw it out. So I know I need 2 columns, and then I need it to be 7 rows. So 2 by 7, and I'll click on it as is like that. And it's down here, okay? So the first thing you have to keep in mind is that you're going to have, this first row will be your header row. And this is we're going to call this activities. And then this one will be a percentage. And then we're going to have to copy and paste all these things throughout. So I'm going to go ahead and do that. Okay, so now we have all that information copied over. And we probably want to do a little bit of formatting to make it make more visual sense. So I'm going to resize these columns, and I might resize them further. And probably we want to signify to the visual learners that these are the headers, and there's, you can stylize this any way you desire. I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to fill the background with black. And then the text, I'm going to make white. So we want to check on the accessibility of this. So one thing we want to pay attention to is the alt text of this. So for a screen reader, it's going to describe the table. And we're going to go down to table properties. So I'm going to do a right click on the table, go down to table properties, and then I'm going to go all the way to the alt text tab. So I wrote, this table lists course activities and the percentage each of the activity types are worth. And that way the screen reader will read that and the student will understand the purpose of the table. All right. Now the next thing we have to check is to make sure that these rows here, these cells, are column headers. So the next thing that we need to do is we want to make sure that this row is set as the header row. And what that's going to do is allow the screen reader to identify all these things as being under this category and all these items here under this category. And the way you do that is you select any cell within that row. We'll do this one. And you right click. And then you're going to go down to Table Properties. And you're going to select the Row tab, which is selected here already. And you're going to go down here and click on Repeat as Header Row at the top of each page. Okay. So what that will do is if this table, it sets it as the header row, and also it will allow it to repeat if in the design of this page the table gets split between two pages. So now what we're going to do is see what this sounds like in JAWS.
Out of table. Table 1. Uniform table. Activities. Row 1 of 7. Column 1 of 2. Page 3.
So you can hear that describe the structure of the table. And I'm going to hit the tab button.
Tab. Percentage. Selected. Column 2 of 2.
Right, column 2 of 2. And then we'll go down to this first line here.
Attendance and participatio. 20%.
So it read that row. And it didn't continue reading on. It just told us that information.
Homework. 20%. Vocab/grammar quizzes. 10%. Essays. 15%. Chapter tests. 20%. Final exam. 15%. Last cell in table.
As you can see, using a table in this way to organize data can be one approach in your syllabus when you want to lay out information like this, where you have a name of something and then followed by some other piece of information like a percentage. And you can do that with this as well. And in this case, you might only need one longer table. And I know that visually people want to avoid creating a longer table, but it makes more sense when you think of the fact that you're working with people who have, if in case you have somebody who is relying on a screen reader, it's going to make life a lot easier for them. Okay, so that is how you can use a table appropriately and structure it in a way that it can be used by a screen reader to read this type of information.